This video attempts to capture some of the basics of pelvic breathing. The idea is to be silent, and in the hopes that the video is going to capture something about movementless yoga from the pixels, from the video capability. It's already there, but that something will be seen or noticed, sensed. Something will come through the video about what is movementless yoga. So I will comment here and probably give a voiceover for a point of reference. So this exercise follows the one previously posted on YouTube as a warm up to pelvic breathing. So here I'm seated, not on a chair, but on a cushion, and so my posture is different from that of the uh, previous one. And I am taking the support of this bar, and to see, I need to edit some parts of the video. Arriving at what should be. Okay. So in this part of the video, what I'm doing is paying attention to the region between my legs and noticing the weight of my body between the left and right legs, weight of my body on the right and left legs. Okay. Also noticing the difference in weight between left and right legs as the muscles hold up the weight of my upper body. So the distribution of the weight of my upper body is between the left and right legs, between the left and right muscles of the legs. So I'm noticing that weight, and I'm not changing anything, I'm not relaxing anything, I'm only noticing the difference in weight between left and right. And I'm noticing what is the kind of weight that's there from my upper body on my buttocks. For example, right now I notice pressure like um, weight on my lower back, okay, on my buttocks. And that my lower back is tense because of the weight. I'm paying attention to the region between my legs, and noticing the moisture, warmth, and sense of ease, relaxation in this part of my body. I'm also paying attention to the front and back portion of the G string, so to speak. Now, if you consider the idea of a G string, it's basically a cloth that goes from the front to the back around a string around the waist. So paying attention to the front and back of what would be the G string. So that will be basically the pubic symphysis and the tailbone, the region between the pubic symphysis and the tailbone. As a point of reference of the front and back. Simply bringing attention to these bones brings a sense of ease of of the pelvic floor, which is basically the region between the legs. And this is the muscular part, not the bony part. Noticing the region in between, which would be about the region of the perineum, which is the region between the anus and the vaginal vault, kind of. I notice a certain tension, a certain um, hold up, and a difficulty in relaxing. This keeps changing through the day, changing through different seasons, through different emotional moments during the day or through the week, according to um, life circumstances. So there is not like a done deal, like taken care of and now taken done. So it's a regular maintenance, requires regular maintenance. And I pay attention now to the tissue between the left and right of the perineum, which would be about the region of my legs, flanking the perineum. So that would be about, well, let's just say the sits bones. If you if we pay attention to the bones as a point of reference, so there's the front pubic symphysis, back the tailbone, and left and right by the sits bones, or the bones on which you sit, or which supports the seated posture. So, on these four bony points of reference, the muscles seem to find it easier to relax because there is these firm structures that now gains attention and the muscles can relax. Maybe it is true for you too. So there's a certain dependence on the structure and uh, firmness, stability of the bony structures. Now I'm bringing my attention to the muscles closer to my sits bones. Now my posture is such that I'm kind of leaning back on the rails, and so the weight of my body is more about the anal region of my G string. And so I notice more the tension of muscles about this region, about the flanks of the anus. Pay attention to where are the muscles more tense. That would be about where your posture um, is having more weight of your body. It is important to acknowledge the elephant in the room, so to speak, the major pressure areas in the posture. So, in a seated posture, it's different from a standing posture, it's different from a lying down posture. And in seated posture, depending on the, um, the sitting posture, the sitting um, um, propriety, so to speak, of the sitting posture, the pressure would vary. And there is the natural health of the body. Over and above, or rather, underlying to begin with, the posture, um, what is observable in the posture. But first, to acknowledge the pressure that comes from the assumed posture. Yeah. And then to notice slowly at what is the baseline health. For that, to pay attention to the muscular, fleshy portion of the pelvic floor. And this is not moist, but could be soft could be warm, but is not the central portion of what's called the pelvis of the or the pelvic floor or the genitals. This is not even the anus, but this is the muscular, fleshy part of the pelvic floor. A lot of people tend to have um, emotional tension about this region. There could be sense of shame. There could be sense of guilt. There could be sense of pleasure. There could be sense of fear. There could be sense of anger. There could be sense of joy. There could be sense of disgust, just like any other part of the body. But there sometimes tend to be more sense of shame or guilt in the pelvic floor or anger. And it's not about acknowledging, but it's about continuing to notice the softness of your tissues of the pelvic floor while there may be these sensory experience of the emotional tone. Important, notice the sensory experience of the emotional tone. How does your body tense, for example? How does your muscles tense when there is a sense of fear or guilt or anger or pleasure or disgust? It's to continue to notice the sensory experience of the pelvic floor while there may be different emotional tones. There may be, when you continue to pay attention to the sensory experience of your pelvic floor, there may be a sense of easing of your breath or a further relaxation of the muscles of your pelvic floor when you have stayed long enough, or let's say continue to pay attention. And it's not about judgment or about any of that. It's just noticing the sensory experience between the left and right sides of your pelvic floor. Simply sitting for a long time could give a certain tension, a neuromuscular tension of the region between the left and right sides of your pelvic floor, which is connected with your hips, but could just be coming from your your bottom, sitting in a occupying a certain posture for a long time and hence not relaxing enough or unable to relax because, well, maybe because you haven't paid attention to how the pelvic floor or your bottom feels. So concerns such as the hernia, yeah, what hernia? herniation of intestinal contents. Inter. Ow. Oh, right. Do take your time to relax your legs if that tends to be the impulse, because the bottom, the pelvic floor, heals in its own way, recovers in health in its own way, and legs are an integral, normal part of the recovery of muscle health. So, if there is an impulse to move your legs, to adjust your posture, follow through with that instinct, because that's part of the pelvic floor relaxing, that's part of the muscles recovering in health, that's part of the nerves relaxing in tension, that's part of your physiology recovering in um, functional capacity. And that's also how your bones relax from the tension held by your muscles, because the bones also need some rest. The muscles are always when tense and holding on. The bones are not able to relax as well. And that's an important part of recovering postural health. Bony postural health. On that note, we pause for now.